What's up, NFL fans? It's your boy Jew coming at you guys from the Heavy Hitters Live channel. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button for your boys. With that being said, in today's video, I do want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles and will the Philadelphia Eagles repeat as NFC champions this season? Personally, I don't believe that the Philadelphia Eagles will return to the Super Bowl this season. I don't believe they'll make it out of the NFC playoffs. I believe there'll be a new NFC champion this season. And there's a couple reasons why that I'll mention that in this video. So the first reason why I don't believe that the Eagles are going back to the Super Bowl is they lost their offensive coordinator in Shane Steichen. He was hired by the Indianapolis Colts to be their head coach. And I really think that their offense is going to take a step back. I do believe that Nick Sirianni, their head coach, will be one of those guys that still will help as calling plays on the offensive side of the ball. But losing Shane Steichen, I think, is a huge loss for their team. Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen were two guys that kind of put their offensive minds together to create that RPO style offense that really benefited Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts was able to use his legs and use his arm, and they did a good job of putting weapons around Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown, and a litany of weapons that they had on their offense. But with Shane Steichen leaving, I really think that with Jalen Hurts basically being in his third year as the starter, I really feel like he still will play, I think, at a decent level. But I think last season, the Eagles kind of caught everybody by surprise, especially the way that Jalen Hurts played. He played and was in the MVP category, so he was like a top 5 quarterback last season as far as stats and statistics. But I really think in this season, I really think that he may take a step back because now teams have film on him. They have film of that offense that the Eagles ran last year. And I really feel like the Eagles still will be a good and solid team. They still possibly will be a playoff team. And I believe they'll make the playoffs. But I don't believe that they're going to make it out of the NFC as NFC champions. The second reason I think that they're going to take a step back this season is they lost a lot of key players on their team. They lost their leading rusher in Miles Sanders, who actually signed with the Carolina Panthers. They also lost Javon Hargraves, their talented defensive tackle. He signed with the 49ers in this offseason. And they have a lot of young players on their defense that have to step up. They have Jordan Davis out of the University of Georgia that they drafted last season, who battled injury. They also drafted the talented Jalen Carter at that defensive tackle position out of Georgia as well. But they lost key linebackers as well in TJ Edwards. And now they have Nakobe Dean from the University of Georgia that has to step in at that linebacker position. So they have a lot of talent, a lot of players with upside on that defense. But I really feel like they lost a lot of key veterans. Another key veteran that they lost on that back end at the safety position, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He actually signed with the Detroit Lions, and he was with the Philadelphia Eagles last season as well. He led the NFL in interceptions. But I really feel like them losing those key pieces on the defense, I really think is going to kind of rear its ugly head this season. Even though they have young, talented players, I really feel with those guys being first-time starters, it's going to be a learning curve that those guys are going to face this season. And I really feel like they're really going to have their struggles early on in the season. And the third and last reason why I think that the Philadelphia Eagles are not returning to the Super Bowl is that the NFC East in their division, the teams have gotten better. The Dallas Cowboys always have a talented roster, and those teams always battle it out. Dak Prescott and those guys, they've always, battled Eagles, tooth and nail. Then you also have in that division the Washington Commanders, and they have a really talented defense, as well as a young team that's on the rise. And then you have the New York Giants, who went out and made their roster better with bringing back Saquon Barkley. Also them signing Darren Waller, the talented tight end from the Oakland Raiders or the Las Vegas Raiders that they signed in the offseason. And then they have a really good defense with Wink Martindale leading that Giants defense. They always play Those teams in that division, they always play each other really hard. So I really feel like those teams are going to beat up on each other. And because their division has gotten a lot better on that end, I really feel like the Eagles are not going to end up with that number one seed that they ended up with last year in the NFC. So I really feel like in the playoffs are not going to go through Lincoln Financial Field. So they're not going to have that home field advantage. So those are the three reasons that I think that the Eagles are not going to return to the Super Bowl this season. Going back to the Super Bowl is really hard to do, even for teams that win the Super Bowl. We've seen the LA Rams win the Super Bowl and then fall off and be like the worst team in the league last season, and now they're in a full rebuild. I do think that this Eagles team is going to compete because they're always good in the trenches, but I just think that you never know with injuries. And when you lose talented coaches and when you lose talented players, due to you having success and getting to the Super Bowl, we know about that Super Bowl hangover that usually teams that lose a Super Bowl especially usually don't even make the playoffs the following season. So I do think the Eagles have a chance to make the playoffs, but I don't see them getting out of the NFC. I feel like there's too many talented teams. The 49ers are a team that's always right there. The Dallas Cowboys are always a team in their own division that competes in the playoffs. The Atlanta Falcons, as you guys know, are up and coming team as well, and we're right there on the cusp as well. And then you still have teams that nobody talk about that consistently have been in the playoffs the last couple seasons, like the Minnesota Vikings, who have a young talented team as well. And then on the NFC West side, you also have the Seattle Seahawks, who have a really, really talented team as well. So I really feel like it's going to be tough for the Eagles to get back to that Super Bowl, because now they're no longer the hunter. They're now the hunted. Because they won the NFC last year, they're not going to catch anybody by surprise. They're not going to go under the radar. Teams are going to get up to play them because they were one of those teams that was in the Super Bowl last year, and teams are going to use them as a measuring stick or as that litmus test. So every week, teams are going to circle the Philadelphia Eagles as a team to compare themselves to see if they're Super Bowl ready, or to see if they're battle tested to get to a Super Bowl. So with that being said, you guys give me your thoughts on the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you think that the Philadelphia Eagles have a chance to get back to the Super Bowl? I give them a chance to get back to the Super Bowl, but I don't see it happening because I know how tough it is to go to back-to-back Super Bowls, let alone win a Super Bowl. But with that being said, if you haven't hit that subscribe button for your boys, hit that subscribe button for your boys. If you'd like to get our NFL content, our great NFL content. But with that being said, this has been your boy Jew here on the Heavy Hitters Live channel. As always, peace.